is Emily Abbott, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Numbered Heads Together strategy. To just give a little bit of background information before we go directly into the presentation, the Numbered Heads Together strategy is a cooperative learning strategy that was developed by Kagan. According to Levine and McCloskey, Numbered Heads Together is a great strategy where students can engage in memory level and higher level thinking skills and activities. These authors also state that Numbered Heads Together is a great strategy because students can show their understanding through different ways other than just answering a question. For example, students can illustrate a photo, they can draw a diagram. There's just different ways that students can show their understanding to the teacher through this strategy. In the strategy Numbered Heads Together, there are 4 parts to it. Students are placed in small groups. Each student has a role in their group. There are chances for interdependent group possibilities, and students will get recognition for their effort. During my research on Numbered Heads Together, I was able to actually read articles written by Kagan himself, and a few interesting things that I had found about strategies like Numbered Heads Together was that the cooperative learning strategies that Kagan has developed, such as Numbered Heads Together, can help English language learners reduce their anxiety in the classroom because small group settings are less nerve-wracking for the students rather than like a whole group setting. So like if a teacher is standing at the front of the room and doing a whole group presentation or a lecture and the student gets called on, that would make an English language learner feel more anxious rather than if they were working in a small group like they would in Numbered Heads Together. I also found through my research from Kagan that cooperative learning strategies like Numbered Heads Together help English language learners practice in advance in their language acquisition in the classroom as well. Now to begin the presentation, I'm going to switch to slide number 2, which is the class demographics slide. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19 circumstances, I was not able to perform this strategy in the classroom, but I created a situation, an example of a demonstration of this strategy that I will go over at the end of the presentation. But the strategy and the scenario that I will be using for this would be for a group of second graders, 20 children, 12 boys and 8 girls, and in this demonstration, they will be reviewing the states of matter. I'm going to begin with the step-by-step procedure on implementing this strategy in the classroom. So the first step is the teacher will go around the classroom and he or she will assign a number to each student. For example, if there's 20 children, you're gonna assign numbers 1 through 5 to students. So there will be groups of 4. Once each student is assigned a number, they will then get into their groups with the other students who have the same number as them. This involves step number 2, and once all the students are placed in their groups, so all the students with 1s are together, all the students who are assigned 2s are together, there'll be 5 groups, and each group will have 4 students in them. In the groups, the students have to assign numbers to themselves at this point. So one student is going to be number 1, one student's going to be number 2, one student's going to be number 3, and one student is going to be number 4. The reason why they do this is because during the game and the activity of Numbered Heads Together, the teacher will call on a number from the group to answer a question for them. But I will get more into that in a little bit. So once all of the students are in their groups and they each have assigned a number to themselves in their groups, at this point, the teacher will begin to start the game. They may have a PowerPoint presentation that would display questions, or they might choose to write the question on the board or just verbally state the question. A lot of times teachers will use a PowerPoint presentation that displays the question on the board, and so all the students can see, and he or she can also verbally state the question as well. Once the question is stated on the board, the groups are given about a minute to discuss with each other, and the students will discuss what they think the answer is, and they will come to an agreement on an answer. After about a minute and all the groups have a set answer, the teacher will ask a certain number from each group to write their answer down for the group. For example, a teacher might say, can the number 3s from the group write the answer down? And at this point, the student who is number 3 in their group are the only ones that are allowed to write the answer down. The other students are not allowed to write it down. They're not allowed to talk to the number 3 student in that group. Like, the only person providing the answer is number 3. And at this point, students can choose to write the number down, to write the answer down on the whiteboard. They can verbally state the answer. It really depends on the teacher and the way that they're implementing this game. After each group has provided their answer and displayed it in the air, the teacher will then look over each group's answer and provide points to the groups that got the answer correct. At this time, teachers may also go over the question and the correct answer with the students just to do a final review, especially for the groups who had gotten the answer incorrect, so all the students are on the same page. Now I'm going to give you an example of how I would demonstrate the numbered heads together strategy in the classroom. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the scenario of a second grade classroom with 20 students reviewing the states of matter, this is the example that I will be demonstrating. So I, first off, would assign each student a number 1 through 5, which would ensure that there would be groups of 4 and there would be 5 groups of 4. Once each student is given a assigned number, they will then get within their groups, and at this point they will also have their materials ready for the game. The students will then assign themselves a number within their group. So, like I had mentioned before, one student will be number 1, one student will be number 2, one student will be number 3, and so on. The students will decide this. I will not decide this at this point. Next, I will show the PowerPoint presentation to get the game started, and I will present the first question, which is, what state of matter is a rock? And on this PowerPoint presentation, I would typically display the question really big, and I would probably provide a picture of a rock too, so the students can visually see it as well to help them determine their answer. I would then give the students a minute to discuss in their group, let them collaborate with each other and come to an agreed answer. Once each group has discussed for over a minute, I will ask number 2s from each group to write their answer down on the whiteboard and hold it up for me to see, which none of the other groups can look at other people's boards. Everyone is going to display it at the same time. Once each group has displayed their whiteboard in the air, I will look over each group's answers and I will provide points to each group who had gotten the question correct. So I would probably do about 10 questions in this review game, and then the team at the end who had the most points, I would probably give them some sort of small reward just for winning the game. But after calculating points, I would review the question and the answer. So the students and I would have one final review of the question just as a little refresher in case some groups had gotten it incorrect. And essentially this is how the process would go for each question in the PowerPoint presentation. Like I had mentioned, I would probably do about 10 questions, so students would do the same process. So this presentation comes to an end, and the numbered heads together strategy is a great strategy for English language learners and students overall. It really helps students come together and collaborate with others and practice their language acquisition as well, especially for English language learners. If you have any more questions about this strategy, you can reach me at erabbott4777 at eagle.fgcu.edu. Thank you.